what are some things that stood out to you, or what's the one big thing that stood out to you at this show?
You know, what's been interesting to see in so many showrooms and as part of product lines and just a part of the visual, so many artifacts, so many curated objects. Obviously, to Herman Miller, that's part of the design legacy, that's part of the Eames tradition, that's part of the Nelson tradition. But it's interesting seeing other manufacturers think very deliberately about placement of objects, and that's that's a cultural thing. We hear on the client side, people want their workplaces to be more humane, to be more comfortable.
Empowered. And that's my little bad pun because it covers really two trends I'm seeing. One is the power outlets in many furniture pieces, which you do need because everyone's carrying around a phone, a laptop, a tablet. And so you're seeing that in furniture and tables, obviously in workstations and conference tables, but also in waiting room furniture and lounge furniture and pods. And the other one is the empowerment of the furniture that you can adjust. You're talking about sit-stand desks at different levels. You're talking about the empowerment of people to work in different environments.
What's something that surprised you this year?
One of the things that surprised me the most was how the resomercial influence that we've all been talking about for the last couple of years has percolated down through, and not just the typical lounge companies or furniture companies, but all the way down into people that are making visual communication products, marker boards, and how they are trying to represent that in a resomercial feel.
And do you think that applies to the product, it applies to the showroom experience, all of the above?
I think it's all of the above, but it would slant a little bit more to the showroom experience and how just casual the work environment has become and how comfortable we are not sitting in a cubicle and interacting more in a collaborative way, but in a very casual collaborative way.
So my next question is, is there anything that surprised you?
Surprise, I don't want to say surprise. One of the things, though, that I have some skepticism about is interesting. I see a lot of ottomans, and you can see some around here, but ottomans at almost every furniture manufacturer's showroom. High, low, most of them covered with fabric. Some of them are used as footstools, and I question in contract interiors the use of a fabric-covered footstool because it's going to get filthy. But also, if you think about it, ottomans are really great. They're sort of like the throw pillows in terms of adding some color and texture to a space, but they're not so useful. In fact, in almost every showroom that I saw them, people weren't sitting on them. And when I did see them sitting, they looked really uncomfortable perched on it. So it's sort of the opposite of an ergonomic seat in that they're generally one size. You can't adjust it. So you have a small person and a very tall person. They're not going to fit very well on an ottoman. So they're interesting looking, but I really wonder about the usefulness of it. And while the furniture manufacturers set the trends at NeoCon, the specifiers really decide what's going to sell. So it'll be interesting to see in a few years from now if we're going to see those same ottomans for sale. So. Okay, the second word would be Scandi. So for a lot of reasons, you can talk about three major acquisitions alliances, obviously Herman Miller and Hay, and Nolan Muto, and even Norman Copenhagen with Aussteel. But also you're just seeing it in the furniture that's being introduced by other manufacturers. I saw at Nemshoff a lounge line with very Scandi lines, those cute little splayed wooden legs. So a lot of Scandinavian influence.
For me, I sort of always look at it through a storytelling lens. So I'm constantly looking at how the furniture is told to the right audiences. So I think some of the things that stood out to me were just the artful ways of like being able to tell stories, whether it's through designers that are actually creating art as well as the pieces that they're designing, or those who are designing the pieces having real input into the videos that they're sharing as well. So some of the little things of storytelling is what I take note of, and particularly here, I think in this space, there's a couple of really nice sort of mixes between digital and analog ways of telling story, which stood out. So they're some of the things that I noticed anyway.
Tell me a topic that you really want to create more dialogue about in our industry.
Well, one of the things that I was noticing about this NeoCon, and I wasn't quite sure how to take it, was that I was seeing a lot less conversation, a lot less signage about green or sustainable issues, and people aren't promoting products as has reduced environmental impact. They're not talking about green. It doesn't seem to be a topic anymore this year. I feel that it sort of went away. I'm not sure if that's because directions have, gone in a different focus, or if it's just such a given that products are going to have reduced environmental impact, driven to some degree by major end users and specifiers like Google, like Kaiser, who have really demanded it, or maybe it could just be that I noticed after the um, recession in 2009, it felt like people weren't really talking as much about environmental issues. And I would really like to see that come a little bit more front and center, whether they're still going on and people aren't talking about it, but just to raise the awareness more, because each year it's a new year, a group of designers graduating from schools, and I think they need to know that this is an important aspect of manufacturing and of design.